The Morningside Mustangs retool with the graduation of Jack Dotzler and Eli Doble, but they still definitely have a full stable. We're going to talk Morningside basketball with Trent Miller. Cascade Hoopstock starts right now. Hey, today we're going to talk Morningside Mustangs basketball with Trent Miller. He's the head men's basketball coach there. This program has a long historic history. They compete there in the GPAC, as everybody knows. Last season they made the round of 8, a great season last year for them. They graduate Eli Doble and Jack Dotzler, two of the top players in the country. However, if you look at their roster, don't shed any tears because he brings, I think, almost 130 minutes back from last season and a ton of talent. The Mustangs are going to look a little bit different, but they'll definitely be competitive. And I think the GPAC is going to be just absolutely loaded up this season. You know, partway through the conversation, Coach Miller and I, we got distracted a bit talking about some rebounding. If you're a young guy really looking for your place in the game, give that a listen. If you want to be a more important part of your team or be noticed more by coaches, rebound. Learn how to rebound. Be a relentless rebounder. I think you'll enjoy this. Trent Miller's a great guy. I went out there last season. I say this during the interview, but I really appreciated his hospitality at a very, very busy time for them. So let's take a listen to Trent Miller, Morningside basketball. Cascade Hoops Talk, Billy D. Hey, I got Trent Miller on the phone. He's the head men's basketball coach, Morningside University. Welcome, Coach. Thank you so much. I had some technical issues before, and you were really patient with me, so thank you.
Billy, thanks for having me. As always, it's an absolute pleasure. We love the show. You know this. You do such a great job, and so yeah, anytime you want to talk, we're always going to answer.
Well, I want to start the show by saying, I think everybody knows I was out in Iowa last year for that first 2 rounds, and I stopped by your place. You were getting all ready to host, 2 powerhouses, Lords and Georgetown, and you made time for us, walked us through the gym. Well, we couldn't quite get inside the gym, but walked us through your area, took us up to your office. We were able to do an interview up there. But I really want to thank you for being such a gracious host at a very, very busy time for you.
You know what? Absolutely. We just, again, loved having you down. I thought it was so neat for you to, swing out to Iowa and catch some of the regionals. I know you went up to Orange City and watched, Northwestern host as well. So it was awesome having you in the gym, and we'll do it anytime.
That whole area there in Iowa, number one, when people say Iowa nice, that's a real term. We were up in Orange City, well, beautiful town, and then we went over to Sioux Center because I had to see Dort. You know what, Trent? I hear all these stories about how tough it is to play at Dort. I had to walk in the gym, and I finally got to go over and see Dort.
I didn't know that. That's great.
Yeah, so I went over and I saw that, and then, of course, I was in that beautiful gym at Northwestern. Boy, what a nice gym they have there, and they put on a good show in the first 2 rounds as well. So I had a great time. But you ready to talk some Mustang basketball?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
So you and I were just talking. You do lose Eli Doble and Jack Dotzler. They were so key for your program. Eli just so big and strong, and Dotzler just a key member of your program. What do those guys mean to your program?
You know what? Some of our favorite people. I mean, we loved them to death. They were guys that, played for us for 4 years. They were guys that, played JV basketball for us for, some of their freshman year. And maybe Jack played a little of his sophomore. And just watching them develop and just continue to buy in and lead from a leadership standpoint, they were 2 of the best ones we've ever had. And, as good as they were on the basketball floor, man, as people, they're just awesome guys. And, always hard to replace them. But, really excited for them to take the next step professionally and go dominate, in the real world. So it hard ones to replace. Were so impactful and made some great memories here with the program.
Let's talk about a little bit about your run last season. We just mentioned you had a good run in the GPAC tournament. You fell to Hastings. Hastings was just amazing last season. They had a great year. But then you took
Great year.
on Lords and Georgetown there at home. Boy, talk about those two teams coming into Sioux City. Those were two tough draws, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean, we were very fortunate, being able to host those guys and being able to play in Sioux City one. But both of those programs just have so much respect for how they run things, and again, the season that they had, the kind of players that they had in their roster. Both of them kind of given a different look. Lords playing with that 5 man that was so active, being able to pop and extend the floor and really shoot it from
Oh
anywhere.
yeah.
From a matchup standpoint, kind of threw some wrenches at what we were trying to do defensively. And then just being long on the perimeter and being athletic and having guys that can get in the paint consistently. So we knew it was going to be a challenge defensively, and I thought our guys responded well to what we were trying to do from a game plan standpoint. And then moving on to Georgetown and Coach Briggs, you just talk about as good as they come. That program's just absolutely a powerhouse from an NAIA standpoint, legendary, the things that they've been able to accomplish. And the level of talent they bring, it was just a slugfest. Probably wasn't the most beautiful display of offensive basketball. You're looking at like a final of a 63-59, something like that.
Yep.
Very low scoring, but yeah, that was about as intense and as about I thought as physical and tough that our guys played, and we had to be as strong as we could because, man, you talk about length, size, athleticism, skill. They really had it all, and so
Yeah, very
um,
talented team.
fun battle, ton of respect for them, and we were fortunate enough just to end up on top and get down to Kansas City.
You had a pretty good run in Kansas City. You got past the round of 16. You eventually fell to College of Idaho in that round of 8. College of Idaho was just loaded up last season. They got to the Final Four. What did it mean to your program and to the GPAC for you to get down there and get to that Final 8?
Well, obviously every conference is going to be a little biased towards their conference, and I'm no different. I have so much respect for the coaches and the basketball programs in the GPAC, and to essentially be that last one standing in the that Final 8. It meant a lot to us at Morningside to represent our conference, and that's the hope. We hope that our conference can go compete with anybody in any conference across the country, and so you love that you get those opportunities, and we just felt very fortunate that we were able to do that. But the reality is we were lucky that having so many other teams from our conference make that initial 64 and get the opportunity to go compete and win some games in the national tournament. I think it just speaks to those coaches and those players that we've got in the league.
One more question, kind of about transition before we talk about this season's Mustangs. Joel Haveman, he was with you for many years. You guys are friends. You guys played together, if I remember right. He took the head coaching job over at Elk Point Jefferson. Boy, he really meant a lot to your program, didn't he? You played together, right? And you guys are real close.
That's right. Yeah, I'll never say a bad thing about the guy. One of my closest friends was an awesome basketball player, was an even better coach. It was a situation from a family standpoint that, Joel and his wife Mary, they got 5 little ones, and
Wow.
it just fit them at this point in their life right now to be in Elk Point, and he had the opportunity to lead another basketball program at the high school level. It worked. It fit,
Yeah.
and while selfishly, I was bummed to see him go. I'm so excited for them, and he's going to continue to do great things. And the 3 years that he was here made such an impact and built so many relationships and had a ton of respect from our players, but was as good as they come. Just worked his heart out, showed up every day with great energy, and was a guy from a character standpoint that I wanted my players to be around.
Mhm.
So we just wish him the best. And again, we had such a fun run together.
But so you've added a couple of new faces people are going to see on the bench. Ben Hoskins, a 2020 grad there at Morningside, and then Tyler Vavrina, fans will remember him from 2022. He's going to be on more of a part-time basis. So you're going to look just a little different on the bench there, Coach.
We're going to look a little bit different, but one thing I love about both these guys is they've been in our system. They know who we are. They know what we're about. They know the expectations and the standards that we have around this place. And that was one of the first places where we started, is kind of checking back with guys that have been in coaching from the program, that from a professional standpoint want to take that next step. And we're so thrilled to bring Ben and Tyler on board. Ben, from a player development standpoint, working with our guys right out of the gate has been, fantastic. Just seeing him interact with players and building relationships and going out and recruiting. We're very excited to see him continue to grow in that role. And, Tyler Vavrina might be one of the toughest players we've ever had out of this program. And it's just always good to have somebody like that, in your foxhole. So a guy that, again, is going to have hold our guys accountable and kind of do things right. Just another one that we really trust. And we're just excited to see both of these guys continue to grow over the course of the season.
Coach, you ready to talk some 24-25 Mustang basketball?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
You have a ton coming back. By my count, now I do, I don't know, Bill math. I don't know what else to call it. But my rough estimate, you've got about 125 minutes coming back. You've got about over 50 points a game coming back. Boy, coaches are any coach is going to look at that and be pretty excited. And you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seniors that played significant minutes for you. Before we talk about some of these guys individually, just talk about how you feel about this group you have coming back.
We're very excited. We recognize that the league is going to be extremely deep, and there's a lot of talent across the conference, and we know we have some guys returning. But with Eli moving on and Jack moving on, we're going to be a little different. And so I think there's a lot of excitement there as far as kind of finding what's going to be this team's identity and still playing, within the standards and expectations that we have as a program. But we're going to lean heavily on those seniors and those guys that have had minutes together and experienced some of those tough games and good games and tournament runs, that sort of deal. So that's kind of where we're at right now.
One piece of great news for Mustang fans, you have Joey Scoff coming back. He 21 points, 4 rebounds last season. He was very tough in the playoffs. I saw him play in Kansas City. Talk about Joey Scoff and his game and what he means for you guys coming back.
Never a bad thing to have a guy like that returning, right? Joe had a tremendous, senior season last year, and he kind of played the whole year with a torn labrum, his torn shoulder, right? So he had got that surgery done right after the national tournament. About completely healthy right now, and we're just thrilled to have him back, both offensively and defensively. But obviously, he's a guy that can put the ball in the hole and is able to create a lot of action for us offensively. And when he, continues to just take what the defense gives, he can be as good as anybody. So, the expectations are high, but really looking for him to step up from a leadership standpoint, continue to do what he's doing on the floor, but from a vocal standpoint, taking those other guards we have in our program, especially those young ones, and providing that insight, some of the things that he received from those older guards like Zach Gimmick and some of the guys before him. So just hoping that he can continue to pass down that knowledge that he's gained to our young guys to keep this thing moving.
Another guy that you and I were just talking before we started about Aiden Vanderloo. I think he played like 33 minutes a game last season. A really key member of that team last year. Talk about Aiden's game.
Well, Aiden's a guy who throughout his career has just shot a pretty nice percentage from behind the 3-point line. A guy that, from a catch and shoot standpoint and a one dribble pull up, has been pretty effective. I think things that maybe people don't know outside of our program, just how much he's doing in between plays, coaching on the floor, being an extension of our staff. He really knows the ins and outs of what we're trying to accomplish, and he just naturally gets it and has been really good from a leadership standpoint as far as helping our guys along within our system. And I think that's something that maybe people don't get to see on a daily basis or even know, but just really proud of his growth as a leader over the course of the last few years.
I certainly don't want to short anybody, but I do want to ask you about Brendan Buckley. He averaged 8 rebounds, but he also played a ton of minutes last season, 27 minutes a game. But with Eli Doble graduating, it seems, just looking at your roster, it seems like you're really going to lean on him to clean up the boards.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair assumption. It's one of his strengths as a player. He's coming out of high school at Creighton Prep, was kind of a guy that would do whatever's needed, but really his MO was he was a catch and shoot guard that could really spread the floor, and he would really work defensively. And then, here, I think out of a means to find minutes early at the varsity level, he just really bought into consistently crashing and fighting on the glass, and was huge for us down the stretch.
I love those guys that they just okay, coach, I asked a million coaches this, but what to you makes a good rebounder? How do guys become great rebounders like Brendan Buckley?
You want it more than the other guy. I don't think
Yeah.
there's anything other than that, and it's grit and it's fight, and you've seen it. When you walk in a gym and you see a guy go get a board for the first time, you can kind of tell, like, okay, that he's going to go through anybody to try to get it. And when you have guys like that, it's really, really fun. And that's kind of been his MO. He wants to go get those boards, and it's
How
allowed
tall
him to
is
stay on the
Buckley?
floor a lot. How tall is he?
Yeah.
I think we'd love to say, north of 6'4", but I think he's about 6'3.5", and he would probably tell you about that same. So he's got to go against the trees a little bit. And again, a lot of it's just for those good rebounders. A lot of that's just want it more.
I had to ask that question, but I've asked it I don't know how many times, and I get the exact same answer every time, because there are tons of guys like this around the country. They're 6'3" to 6'6", and they just own the boards. A couple guys that I watch a lot, Jake O'Neal, who played at College of Idaho. He's not a particularly
Absolutely.
big guy, but he gets every rebound. Keegan Shivers at Oregon Tech, he just gets every rebound. No, not these guys don't get it, but you know what I'm saying. They lead the team in rebounding, and they're 6'4", 6'5". And every coach I ask about says the same thing. It just comes down to grit and desire. Kind of interesting.
Yeah, and we were able to see that up close and personal. I know Neil going and get those glass. Some guys just have a knack for where the ball is going to come off, and it's just they, in their mind they're not going to be denied, and that's really fun to see. Because I certainly wasn't. I wish I was that guy. I wish I was this great rebounder and I had that. But some guys just, it is what it is. And so when you have a few guys that do that, we're going to have to lean on them, especially with the departure of Eli. Our guards are going to have to be better rebounders this year, and that's going to be an emphasis for us moving forward. And Brendan's going to definitely have to lead the way for us in that regard.
Well, one more thought on Jake O'Neal. There's a reason I called him the menace, because every time you think you got to stop, he ends up pulling down the offensive board every time, or chasing down the ball every time.
You're not wrong. That was credit to Coach Blaine. I mean, that's a great programming, and man, they got some tough players, and it was definitely fun to match up with them at the tournament.
So you talked a little bit about the team's going to have to look a little bit different this year. You guys have always played. When you think of Morningside basketball, the image that comes to mind is tough guys, strong guys playing tough basketball. What can people expect from this season's Morningside Mustangs?
Well, certainly, I would hope to continue the tough part. I would like to think that our guys are going to compete night in and night out. That's something that is the bare minimum you want out of those guys, is that you're going to show up and you're going to fight. But as far as looking a little bit differently, we've been fortunate to play out of our post for a number of years, going back to Tyler Borchers and Trey Brown and some of these other guys that had some, Bryce Cook, some really good runs back in the day. And I think it's going to be a little faster pace for us for the Mustangs offensively, and defense, again, just having to be aggressive, having to be very disciplined. And if we can do that, we're going to have a chance to be all right. But again, with this group, leaning on the experience, it's going to come down to just trying to make the right play and being tough on both sides of the ball. And hopefully that's what we can do going into this season.
Let's talk about the G-Pack for a minute. At the end of the season, everybody's going to be 15-5. I don't even know why you play so many games. You should just say everybody's tied and flip a coin. Obviously, I'm teasing, but Jamestown now has moved to Division II. That'll shorten up your travel. That's probably going to be good for you guys. But what do you expect from the conference this season? What do you see as you look out across the landscape?
There's just some real heavy hitters back across the board. Yeah, you look at Northwestern and you got Van Callsby coming back again, and again, anytime that guy steps on the floor, you got a problem for the other team. I mean, he's been a fantastic player, and Coach Corver has won as many games as anybody, and is so good at what he does. Just have a ton of respect for those guys. And Dort, Concordia, Van Haften, Lindback, man, those guys, they return pretty much their entire roster of teams that were national tournament type teams last year. And so it's going to be, I think, a lot of the same in regards to an absolute gauntlet night in and night out. You got Coach Reardon, having some guys move on after that fantastic run they had. But I got so much respect for what he's able to do, and know that Hastings is going to be back to where he's going to have them ready to roll. It's just going to be game on. There's no nights off. That's what makes it so fun, but also not fun at the same time from the coaching standpoint.
Dakota Wesleyan's going to look a little bit different. Coach moved on, Kevin Williamson. Coach Wilbur got a great opportunity. It's not like but anyway, he moved on to a great opportunity, and Kevin Williamson went over there. They'll look a little bit different. I've talked to Coach Williamson. He's very, very excited to play GPAC basketball in the Corn Palace. What a great place to go play basketball, huh?
It is a great spot. I'll tell everybody, when I was a player, that was my favorite place to go play.
Was it
If I
really?
had to be on the road, I just thought it was, it's so different. I loved it. I thought it was great. Never easy
Yeah.
up there, but they have a wonderful support system in Mitchell, and those people do a great job. And I got a ton of respect for Coach Wilbur. I love that guy. I know he's doing great things.
Yes, he is. Yeah.
In the WNBA now. It's weird not to have him and go against him, but Coach Williamson's absolutely bringing in some great guys. He kept some guys that Coach Wilbur had that are very talented. They're going to be super good. So, yeah, it's going to be a fun year.
Yeah, watching just on Twitter, I've been watching him. It seems like you never know what a class is really going to look like until the season starts. But it looks like he's bringing in some good guys.
It does. It looks good.
The season for you starts on November 1st. You play. What is Coe College? Is that a D3 or D2? And you're going up to Dubuque to play a couple teams.
So we're going to play in a classic hosted by Clark, and the first game is Coe College, and Coe College is a Division III school.
Okay.
In Iowa. Yep. So that's going to be our opener on the road.
And then you're going to play Viterbo up there. How far is Dubuque from you?
Dubuque is a little. I think it's about 3.5, 4 hours or so.
Oh, that's not a bad trip.
No, we're going to be just fine.
And then you're going to play. Then you come home. Your home opener is going to be on November 8th, and then you're going to play Governor State and then Kansas Wesleyan. Those are going to be two really good games. Your fans need to get out for those. Those are both good programs. You're going to get tested early on, Coach.
Absolutely, and that's we try to do that on purpose. When we talk some of that non-conference stuff when we're traveling a little bit. Kansas Wesleyan has been a team that we've played the last 2 years, and we've split with them. They got a number of guys from that team back. They've added some more length. I know that they're really excited with what they've got going on. We're going to have to be good when they come to town, and that's what we want. In order for us to get prepared for our conference play, going against some of these guys early will just be a great test and a great indicator for where we're at, and that's what we're looking for by playing these guys. And again, knowing that they're going to be very, very good, excited to host them this year in our gym.
Here's a question I got to ask. So you look at your team this year, you're kind of putting your reformula together without Doble and Dotzler. What are going to be those 2 or 3 keys for the Mustangs to be successful?
The biggest one for us is the selflessness piece. You got to be all in. You got to be all into Morningside basketball. You got to be willing to make the right play, whatever that looks like. If that means taking charges, if that means making the extra pass, if we're going to have a chance, we're going to have to be all on the same page and very disciplined. So I think us being all in, everyone being the chemistry being really, really good, that's going to be kind of that key. And then, one of the natural ones with some of that size difference is going to be, can we rebound? Are we going to be able to rebound and not be blown out on the boards? Because that's going to make things very, very hard for us. And then, offensively, we want to play as fast as we can and take advantage of some of the skill sets that we have in the backcourt coming back.
Are you getting excited? Are your students back yet?
Billy, students got back last week. We've had some player meetings. We're fired up. I cannot wait to get started. Energy is high. Like I said, we got some guys returning, but we got new faces in the mix. And this is the best. This is the best time of year. You got college football coming on. You got students back. Basketball's getting ready to roll. This is awesome. So we're very excited. And again, we can't thank you enough for reaching out. And as always, if you need anything down the stretch, please don't hesitate.
Well, I really appreciate it. Thanks a lot for taking the time, Trent. That's Trent Miller.
Course,
He's the Trent Miller, he's the head men's basketball coach, Morningside Mustangs. Thank you, Trent.
Thanks, Billy.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to the show. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Also, please like and subscribe this show wherever you watch or listen to it. It helps a lot. And if you have a question you'd like answered on the show, just send me a note at cascadehoopstalk@gmail.com or just shoot me a DM on Twitter. I hope you enjoyed the show. Enjoy your day. We'll see you next time. Yours truly, Billy D. Thank you very much for supporting our podcast. Please like and subscribe. Get out to your local NAI school because NAI basketball is the best entertainment value in America.